Hello and welcome back to our channel. Today I'm going to be reading out of Mark chapter 16. You can grab your Bible, you can listen in, or you can do both. Read along as I read. So Mark chapter 16 verse 1 begins with, "When the Sabbath was over, Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James, and Salome bought spices so that they might go to anoint Jesus' body. Very early on the first day of the week, just after sunrise, they were on their way to the tomb, and they asked each other, 'Who will roll the stone away from the entrance of the tomb?' But when they looked up, they saw that the stone, which was very large, had been rolled away. As they entered the tomb, they saw a young man dressed in a white robe sitting on the right side, and they were alarmed. 'Don't be alarmed,' he said. 'You are looking for Jesus, the Nazarene, who was crucified. He has risen. He is not here. See the place where they laid him. But go, tell the disciples and Peter, he is going ahead of you into Galilee. There you will see him, just as he told you.'" I want to read verse 3 one more time. "And they asked each other, 'Who will roll the stone away from the entrance of the tomb?'" You know, when I read that verse, I've read this passage over and over and over again. It's one of the Easter passages, right? One of the Resurrection Sunday passages. But this time, as I was reading over it, that little part, that little verse right there, just kind of stuck out. And it made me think like, wow, if I had been among, this little crowd here, I would have made sure that there were a couple of really strong guys with us, right? I would have made sure that we had equipment, that we may need to roll the stone away. I would have already probably have talked about, we're going to roll it this way, not that way, or that way and not this way. In other words, I would have had everything pretty much planned out. But that's not really what faith is. Sometimes you have to step out. And when you step out, sometimes you don't really know what's going to happen or how it's going to happen. You're kind of just trusting the Lord with it, right? That's what faith is. In Hebrews 11, that's what we read about. Hebrews 11 says that faith is confidence in what we hope for. And it is the assurance about what we do not see. As I was preparing for this little teaching, I started to think about some of these characters in the Bible, some of these men and women, young men and women also in the Bible who took leaps of faith that were pretty incredible. In fact, most of them did. And I was so encouraged. I was so encouraged by it. I want to share a few that just immediately stood out. I was remembering the story of Jonathan and his armor bearer, and how there was the Philistines had encamped around them, and the Israelites were preparing to go to war against the Philistines. And here comes Jonathan and his armor bearer, and he's like, you know what? Let's go up against the Philistines. Just him and the armor bearer, right? And without a plan, this is all he got. He's like, let's go on up. Let's try to see if God is going to give them into our hands. If they call us, it means that God's got it. And I was like, what? It's like I was remembering that story. I'm like, why would you move forward that way? But that's what faith is. And Jonathan was full of faith, and he knew that God was with him. Then I was thinking about, this one queen. You've probably heard of her, Queen Esther, and how she didn't know how things were going to turn out. The fact that she was getting ready to break protocol as to how to approach the king. It didn't turn out so well for the queen right before her. I mean, that's why she was now queen and not the other one, because the other one broke protocol. So here's Esther, not really sure about what's going to happen and how it's going to happen. And she's trusting the Lord, but she's also like confident in that, if I die, I die. She's just going to try it. But she has no clue, no idea what's going to happen. And she stepped out in faith. And we all know what happened. And so over and over again, we see that stepping out in faith more often than not looks like us stepping out into the unknown, stepping out into things that are not yet worked out, And then I was thinking about a story where we see the opposite of that. And I'm like, I'm so much like Naaman, the leper. He was the Syrian general of the Syrian army, and he became leprous. And his servant said, why don't you go visit Elisha, the prophet? I bet, he could heal you. And so Naaman had it all figured out, I think. When he was on his way, he had gifts, and he probably thought, I'm just going to talk to this guy, and this prophet is going to probably touch me or, breathe on me or do some prophetic act and I'm going to be healed. But I feel like he had it figured out, because when he arrived, Elisha didn't even come out to greet him. He sent his assistant, and his assistant was like, okay, go dunk yourself in the Jordan. And Naaman was like, what? And so I could just see myself in that, like, I've got it all figured out. And then all of a sudden, it's nothing like I had thought it would look like. And I'm not saying it's always like that, but many times it looks a little different than what, we thought it looked like. And so Naaman had a choice. He could have rejected that and stood by what he thought, and then stayed bitter and said, no, forget that, Or, like he did, he humbled himself, and he stepped out in faith, not really even knowing about what would happen next. I mean, he at that point was like, forget it, but he went ahead and he did it. He literally took a leap of faith. He took a big leap into the Jordan River, and he was healed. And so when let's go back to the story of this little crowd, of Mary Magdalene and mother of James and Salome, and this little group, who's heading out. And now I'm like, I'm looking at them in awe and excitement, and I'm being encouraged, because now I'm placing myself there in the story with them. They're arriving right before dawn, as dawn is breaking, and they're not even sure how it's going to happen, but they know that something's going to happen. And so they stepped out in faith. And today I just want us to, as we celebrate Resurrection Sunday, that we would be encouraged, that we would know that the Lord is getting ready, because this is always his desire. He wants to roll that stone away for us. And then as we step out, into the dawn of just the dreams that we're trying to fulfill, the dawn of, just the struggle of trying to step into a new season, the dawn of a new season, the dawn of the struggle against some of the things that are yet to be fulfilled, the dawn of, again, our dreams, the dawn of our destiny and what we are being called to. As we step into the dawn of these new seasons, that we would be assured and reassured that God is with us, and that he wants to roll that stone away, and that if we step out in faith and we believe and we grab onto hope, that we're going to get something unexpected. We're going to be rewarded. Our faith, our step, our leap of faith into this new dawn, to the dawn of this new season, we're going to be rewarded with him rolling that stone away, and with us being encountered with the resurrected power of a man who loves us and who sees us as that very apple of his eye. And so I just want us to be encouraged today. I bless you. I bless you with faith, with courage to step out and into this new season, into the dawn of what he's calling us into in this new season. So bless you. Have an amazing Resurrection Sunday, and I will see you soon.